Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having a fantastic day. As always, leaving a like, leaving a comment, or subscribing, all of these help out the channel immensely. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. The legal dispute between Coinbase, a prominent cryptocurrency exchange, and the United States Securities and Exchange Commission, or the SEC, is heating up, as Coinbase displays no hesitation in mounting a robust defense. In a surprise move, Coinbase has expedited their legal proceedings by submitting its initial response 40 days ahead of schedule. For those of you who have not been paying attention, I'm literally not sure how you managed to do it. Good on you. The US SEC has filed a lawsuit against basically every major cryptocurrency exchange within the United States. Binance said that they are prepared to, fight it to the very end. Coinbase seems to be at the front of the race. They're dramatically trying to make sure that they get some kind of cryptocurrency regulation and or get the lawsuit thrown out altogether. Coinbase's issue, or what they're trying to do, is basically force the SEC into submission to give them cryptocurrency regulations in some sort of way. You think I'm joking? They literally have said, please just give us crypto regulations so that we can all move on. And the SEC replied a month ago. They said it would take them roughly around 3 to 5 years to have proper cryptocurrency regulations formed. Why it would take that long? It's because they're liars. So the Coinbase announced a couple of, maybe 2 weeks ago, that they were trying to get something pushed forward through the court. And the SEC said that it would take them a number of days and or weeks to get this proper information filed to Coinbase. Coinbase had a certain amount of time to actually file this paperwork, but they filed it so quickly. Now the SEC is basically forced to respond to what the people from Coinbase have been asking for, 40 days ahead of schedule. As a result, the court has scheduled an earlier than expected date for the hearing, set to take place on the 13th of July. Yeah, that's a lot earlier than the August that we were hearing before from the SEC. The court order released on Thursday indicates that the SEC will now have to present its response to Coinbase's legal defenses by the 13th of July. This is significantly earlier than initially expected, thanks to Coinbase's decision to submit its response well ahead of the 7th of August deadline. Here's the tweet for it right here. The 4th of July holiday weekend led the SEC to request a 3-day extension because, any extra reason to lie, which was granted by the court. The early filing by Coinbase also caused a shift in the court's scheduling. Whatever. Converting the originally planned pretrial conference to a pre-motion conference and moving it to the 13th of July. I have a very sad, terrible feeling that this is going to become another never-ending story for Coinbase and the SEC. Coinbase is just asking for crypto regulations. They're saying, why are we in trouble? What did we do wrong? Can you please tell us that we do not do it again? Can you tell us which coins are securities? Can you be a regulator and simply regulate the market? And the SEC refuses to do it. Since this has been going on for almost 3 years for the company Ripple, I have a very strange inkling that they're going to try and draw this out for as long as possible with Coinbase as well. But it is nice to see that Coinbase is in some way fighting back, striking back, trying to just not lay there and take it, as it were. Forgive my wording for that, but you understand what I mean, because someone has to fight against the corruption, right? It can't just be like we all throw our hands in the air and we're like, oh, well, that sucks. No, they need to be held accountable. These people are absolutely terrible. Every other country on the planet has cryptocurrency regulations except for the US. Why not? Regulate something. Do your actual job. So I assume by the 10th, 11th, 12th of July, we will be hearing something from the news, which is definitely going to be all over the place surrounding this topic. That's the Coinbase SEC news. I hope it's not a never-ending story, but I think we all know exactly where this is going. And yeah, let's move on. Also in the news, in order to safeguard investors, the SEC of Thailand has announced new regulations for companies that offer services related to digital assets. In accordance with new regulations, companies providing digital asset services must clearly communicate the dangers of investing in cryptocurrencies. A predefined message must appear on all platforms at all times. I mean, stop. I try. It doesn't always work, but I always try to be relatively centered when it comes to these discussions. I know that we are going to get regulations, so I sit there and go, okay, as long as you don't make them absolutely ridiculous. I do not live in Thailand. If anyone here lives in Thailand or has lived in Thailand, can you tell me something? I ask this very nicely. When you are trying to or have invested in stocks or mutual funds or ETFs within Thailand, has there ever been a warning on the screen at all times saying that you must know the dangers of where you're putting your money into the stock market? If you live in Thailand and you have purchased a home, an apartment, a condominium, it doesn't matter, land, do you receive information on the screen or on the contract at all times that says flooding may happen, natural disasters may take place? Is that something that constantly appears on the paperwork? If you go into a store or a shop, what have you, and you try to buy gold or silver, do they warn you that the price might stay relatively stable for the next 5 to 10 years, or that the production of gold and silver may cause the value of your assets that you are buying to go down? Very simple questions, but for some reason, and I assume it has to do with the supposed protection of the local fiat currencies. When we see countries doing this, they are not the first country to try and implement something like this, but it's so dramatically overboard that it's nuts. The UK also tried doing this. I think they also are doing it a number of years ago, where they were saying that you could not advertise cryptocurrency products out in the open and or on the street or wherever, especially and on bus stops and train stations, that you had to have a gigantic disclaimer somewhere on it stating how terrible and awful and scary cryptocurrencies were. And I was like, do you have to do this as well for every other investment that people are trying to get into? Because let's be completely honest, the stock market has also collapsed many times over the course of the last couple of years. Are you warned when you get into foreign exchange trading that the foreign currency that you're trying to get into may also collapse and you might lose all your money? I know the answer is no, but you understand. The message reads, the predefined message that will appear on platforms at all times says, cryptocurrencies are high risk. Please study and understand the risks of cryptocurrencies thoroughly because you may lose the entire investment amount. You know how many? Anyway, I don't disagree with this entirely, but I think the means of going about it are hyper askewed, terrible, torn apart, don't make a lot of sense. A lot of things within the cryptocurrency space are very high risk, I will say that. But all markets are in general. You can disagree with me if you want. I can show you a number of markets that people believed were stable and or companies and their stocks that subsequently collapsed over the course of a 5-year period. I will say I would rather have their SEC make companies have on the screen that cryptocurrencies are risky. So please do research before you invest into them. Then the SEC doing the same exact thing that the US SEC is doing. I think we can all relatively agree with that. Before clients may use the service, the company owner must arrange for the users to provide permission and recognize the dangers, and the warning message must be prominently displayed. So once again, this is not a ban by any means, but it is definitely a situation where you sit there and go, okay, sure, why not? A lot of people, as always, were a little peeved that this was a thing simply because a lot of people don't agree with things like this. But silver lining, as long as this is not a ban, I am completely okay with it. So that's the Thailand SEC, stringent rules and regulations. Sure, why not? As long as they're giving regulations that they said that they were going to do and not banning it within the country, sure, why not? That's the Thailand news. And yeah, let's move on. Also in the news that we went over a couple of days ago, I told you about it, but there was nothing on the screen for it. The Nasdaq exchange has refiled its application to list BlackRock's proposed Bitcoin exchange traded fund, joining rivals and naming the U.S. exchange Coinbase as the market that will be monitored in a so-called surveillance sharing agreement. The news that we had about 5 or something days ago was that the U.S. SEC said that the application forms for BlackRock, Fidelity, CBOE, and a number of other companies were inadequate when they were trying to list a Bitcoin ETF. It's because they simply listed that their custody provider and or other company they would be working with was simply crypto exchange. It would be done with blockchain technology, and the SEC wanted explicitly which cryptocurrency exchange, and the answer is now Coinbase. They're apparently all of them are trying to work with Coinbase. And as far as blockchain, I forgot exactly, and I know that it's Bitcoin, but there was something else like deeper inside as far as like what would be going on. So yeah, they have officially all refiled their application, and we will probably get news by the end of August, September as to how these things are going. The other news that I'm not holding my breath for is the news that on the 13th of August, there should be a yay or a nay for ARK Invest's physical Bitcoin ETF that they believe that they are going to get. I think it's a little weird that they would announce themselves that they think that they're going to get the first physical Bitcoin ETF, but I appreciate their optimism. So that's the companies have relisted or tried to refile their applications with the US SEC. Now with Coinbase's name, because that was the most important thing in the entire world for the SEC to know the word Coinbase in there. Okay. Let's move on. Also in This Was Popular, sure, why not? The CME Group, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, not to be confused with the CBOE Group on Thursday, has revealed plans for the launch of a Bitcoin and an Ethereum ratio futures on the 31st of July, pending regulatory approval. Per the product description on the company's website, the ticker for the futures is going to be EBR, literally ETH, Bitcoin ratio, with the ratio defined as Ethereum's future price divided by Bitcoin's future price. Sure, the ratio will be calculated as the final settlement price of ETH divided by Bitcoin and will always be positive across all contract months. They said historically, Ether and Bitcoin have been highly correlated. However, as the two assets have grown over time, market dynamics may affect the performance of one more than the other, creating relative value trading opportunities. This was said by the head of the CME Global Group. Wonderful. This was also very popular news. I assume it has to do with the fact that it says Bitcoin futures, and the entire discussion right now is people trying to launch a Bitcoin ETF. Bitcoin and Ethereum futures have already been launched within the United States, as they do not deal with the actual physical asset. They deal in US dollars, and the SEC therefore has no issues with them. Cool. Historically, we have seen that Bitcoin and Ethereum futures years ago tried to have a very negative effect on the prices of these assets. So they're not my favorite thing, nor are they my cup of tea, but people seem to find it quite interesting. Here's the actual link on the website, or the thing that's here. As always, everything that we're talking about will be in the description below, so you can all read it yourselves as well. This is from the actual CME Group website. Ether Bitcoin ratio futures available starting on the 31st of July. Little asterisk. I assume that is, pending what the SEC says. Yep, very popular news to launch in late July. Wonderful. That's the CME Group Ether Bitcoin ratio futures news. And yeah, let's move on. I don't know why people were very surprised by this news, and I wonder about people. A federal court has ordered the crypto exchange Kraken to turn over account and transaction information to the IRS, which said it needed the information to see if any of the exchange's users had underreported on their taxes. The IRS filed a court petition in the Northern District of California in February, moments after the crypto exchange settled charges with the U.S. SEC, alleging that its staking service violated securities laws. The tax enforcer alleged that it had issued a summons to Kraken in 2021 that the exchange failed to comply with and was trying to check for tax liabilities for users who transacted in crypto between 2016 and 2020. The problem, my dear friends, with, as far as I can tell from going over news every day, is that the U.S. doesn't seem to be content with regulating and or telling people that they're doing something wrong. They simply tell people that they've done something wrong. So if you are doing something in the moment that you, air quotes, should not be doing, you will not be warned of this. They wait. The time frame 2016 and 2020 is very deliberate. For those of you who don't know how the US works, and it's also the same in many other places, if you actually end up doing something in the moment and you simply don't know about it, you have plausible deniability, yada, yada. But if you do something over the course of multiple years and it exceeds a certain amount of money, you then actually end up being liable and can get even more in trouble than you previously were before. And this is why we keep seeing that the US SEC gets companies in trouble and they say, yeah, you were doing something bad in 2016 until now. You did something wrong since 2017 until this moment. It's so that they have years and years of evidence against you showing exactly how terrible that you are. According to Friday's order, Kraken must turn over information for users who transacted with more than $20,000 over the course of a calendar year for that year, including the user's name, birth date, taxpayer identification number, address, phone number, and email address, and a host of other documents. Kraken will also have to provide blockchain addresses and transaction hashes that already are part of the transaction data it can share, and it may produce raw data for the IRS as well. A lot of people were a little annoyed with this simply because they don't want their information handed over to the IRS. I will say this, and I'd like 39th time, understand that when you give your crypto to a crypto exchange, they are centralized. They're calculating and taking all of your transaction data, and they're saving all of that for themselves. That's why I told you before many times when we heard that Visa and PayPal, once again, were trying to link to people's MetaMask. I told you, red flag. They're trying to gather up all your information. As long as you are legally in your country able to hold on to your own cryptocurrencies yourself, that is to say, you can self-custody, self-stake, what have you, I usually implore you to look into how it's done so that you may do it for yourself so that you can hold your own coins. Just understand that these crypto exchanges will not change. A lot of them will throw words at you that say Web3 and decentralization and the future of crypto, but they act like and basically are banks, as they have been for a very long amount of time. The Kraken here is doing nothing wrong. They're trying to stay open, and they are forced by law to give this information. So, as always, just pay attention to where you're putting your money and what you're doing with your money so that you're not doing anything wrong. But it does help if you look into the laws of your local country where you are living to make sure that you're also not only not doing something wrong, but that you have everything under control, because I said this would happen a number of years ago. And also, this will not be the last time that we receive information like this. In that, I assume that by the year 2025, 2028, we will hear that the IRS is looking for tax information from Coinbase, from Kraken, from Binance, from Gemini over the course of the last 10 years so that they can really try and get people in trouble. So take that information as you will. Make sure that you are legally following the laws where you are. Don't want anybody to get in trouble, but just understand that the system is basically made for you to get in trouble, because, you got to make sure that people get in trouble as opposed to actually trying to help them. That's the crypto exchange. Kraken has been ordered to submit user data transactions to the IRS, because that's the way that the world works now. I do sincerely hope that you have all enjoyed. I do hope that you all are having a great day, a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and or supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.